Matt Gleason. I'm your host for Modern Art Blitz. In the next hour, we will be talking contemporary art with three compelling case studies, artists, you know, artists and their art. Hey, my first guest for today's show, longtime artist. He's been on the East Coast, he's been on the West Coast, he's been on the best coast, and he'll tell us which one is. Victor Acevedo.
Great. Hey, thanks, Matt.
Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you so much. Yeah, great to see you, man.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And, you know, here live in the studio. And I'm excited to have this
We're live, don't be nervous.
Okay. I'll try to relax.
So tell me, you have been working in non-traditional media for many decades now.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I'm an early adopter of digital media. And I started kind of gradually in 1983, kind of early in the time when desktop computer graphics was becoming available, proliferating with PCs and later the Mac.
The first desktop, was that the TRS-80 from Radio Shack?
That might be, yeah, that kind of predates my sort of hands-on period.
What was your first computer that you made art with?
Actually on the PC. So I started on the PC, and there was early paint systems at that time. This predates Photoshop. There was like the TIPS Targa system. A lot of my computer graphics colleagues will kind of like remember these names. And then I was very much interested in 3D modeling. And that became available in the middle 80s, about 84, 85, on the desktop with a system called the Cubicomp, and that was a fun time.
I thought you were going to say the Middle Ages. The Middle Age, and now the Middle 80s, it kind of does seem like.
Yeah, really, that was a ways ago. I mean, that's about
a long time ago.
About 30 years ago. I mean, you know, it's like amazing.
So tell us about, what are we looking at here? We've got this wild thing that you made. When did you make this?
Well, this is recent. This is just actually from earlier this year. This is a still from a video, and I kind of like now, instead of just doing straight digital prints, a single image, I'm focusing on time-based work. I was influenced by Bill Viola in the way that he found that space between painting and video, and he slowed things down. So I kind of like that. Not that I work in slow-mo all the time, but I realized that just like we take a photograph from the world that's constantly in motion and omnidirectional, we can pull something from a time-based piece, one still, and that could be your print. So this is just one still, one moment in a video.
Now, would this be an artwork for sale?
Yeah, actually that's part of the thing, is I want to be able to make these available as prints that people can buy. If they see a moment in a video, they go, I'd love to have a print of that, they can get it.
So in a way, do you consider yourself to be an abstract painter?
I have I kind of like work in both realms, because I work with figuration and pure abstraction, and I've always kind of wanted to put them both together. For some reason, I just was gravitated to doing both, but I've kind of like separated them out more recently and let each sort of thing breathe. But whenever I have figuration, I always have it interface with abstract geometry.
So the abstraction is always at least going to be like in the background or something?
Yeah, exactly. Like in this next piece that came up, this is another contemporary piece. It's also a video still. It's a portrait of a friend of mine named Robin Olive. She's an amazing choreographer and dancer. And there's the geometry happening. So it's kind of like articulating the space that she's embodying. And so this is figuration and the geometrical abstraction happening together. So
now you've got kind of like a traveler story. Are you originally from LA?
Yes, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. And
where'd you go to high school?
Went to Alhambra High School.
Alhambra High School?
Yeah. So
was that before Phil Spector kind of ruined the name of?
Yeah, I remember that castle. I used to see it. I used to drive by at a distance, and I went by there recently in the last 3 years, and it had like a strange vibe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he kind of ruined that block. I think they've never rented it out again.
Yeah.
But he kind of, all due respects, but I think he tarnished that block anyway.
So you grew up San Gabriel Valley, and then now I know that for a while you were with EZTV, right?
Oh, yes.
This is going way back now.
Yeah, 84.
Wow.
I met Michael Masucci. They were on Santa Monica Boulevard, and So we hit it off, we had a good rapport, and they very early on started showing digital work. In those days, they called it computer art. And it's only recently, you know.
So they were basically telling the truth.
Yeah, it was called computer art. It had a lot of resistance. Now it's digital art, which makes more sense. It kind of connects it with the, you know, society at large, or the structure of reality, the way that we use, where our reality is mediated with tools, you know, like iPhones and iPads and computers and such, and like that.
Wait.
So it's, you know, we think of being digital.
Wait, mediated? My phone? What do you mean? What do you mean? I was on my, okay. So,
oh, yes.
So you ended up, though, for a while in New York?
Yes.
What happened?
Oh, well,
Did you have to get out of LA?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to move to New York, and I loved New York, and I kind of from afar, like many of us, thought, well, the art world's in New York City. So, you know, I had an opportunity. I was visiting just informally, like in '93 and '94, and then I got a job there, and I was kind of like, you know, I didn't have. It was a good window of opportunity. So in '95, I moved there.
Wow.
In the spring, and yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for almost 14 years. That's why you didn't see me for a while.
I didn't see you for a while. I saw you a couple times in New York.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I bumped into you in a few openings there. But,
yes.
And were you teaching? Were you instructing?
Yeah, I was actually. I started teaching at the School of Visual Arts, which is a very good art college there, and I started in the BFA Computer Art department, and then I moved to the master's level, which is a great honor and compliment.
And were you teaching specifically digital art?
Yeah, I was teaching digital imaging, and also I did a lecture class where it was like I was almost like an MC, where I would bring guest speakers in. It was like a speaking series, and I was sort of the moderator.
Okay.
So that was great. I did that, and that was.
It was like
exciting.
The Modern Art Blitz of SVA.
Yeah, you know, embedded in SVA. Exactly. Yeah.
So tell me what we're looking at here.
Oh yeah. So, you know, I thought it'd be fun to share some older work, because I started actually as a traditional media artist.
Oh, really?
And this is actually an oil on canvas.
Oh my God! And you're not you're not going to get kicked out of the. Bill Gates isn't going to call you going, Victor, I had such faith in you, and you had to show that oil painting.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get that across, because that's part of my story. You know, I'm part of this generation that started in traditional media, painting and drawing. That's what I studied. And but when computer graphics started appearing on the scene, I go, wow, that's the future. You know, and so I kind of gravitated towards that tool set.
Okay.
And
what year is this painting?
So this is from 1981, and so my influences are in those days, and still are in a sort of a spiritual sense, were M.C. Escher and Salvador Dali.
I see the merger.
Yeah. So
can we take a look at this just by itself?
Yeah, let's do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
M.C. Escher and Salvador Dali, I can definitely see that. Now, what you've done is kind of taken the M.C. Escher and Salvador Dali aesthetic, as illustrated here, but you've digitized it, or you've made computer art out of it, right?
Art. It kind of like, when we look at the next slide, you'll see a kind of a bridge where I was still kind of exploring some of these same Escher-like ideas, which you would call, in a technical way, zoomorphic tessellation. That's what Escher did. That's one of his.
Whoa. Stop.
Okay.
Zoomorphic. That's animalistic,
Animalistic, right? Animal form.
Animal form. Zoomorphic.
Yes.
Okay. Say the second word again.
And tessellation.
Tessellation?
Tessellation.
Tessellation.
T-E-S-S, and it's just
T-E-S-S. Tessellation.
Tessellation, yeah.
And what is that?
That's just like repeating patterns.
Repeating patterns.
Yeah.
Is tessel is a pattern?
Probably.
Tessellation, the patterning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
And that's
I'm into the etymology. I gotta find this out.
Okay.
That's zoomorphic tessellation.
Yeah.
And that is repeating patterns of animal movement.
Of animal forms, yeah.
Animal forms.
That have this interlocking. And tessellations have the properties of kind of being able to be put edge to edge and fill all space, like a checkerboard, just like a cubical pattern of a floor tiles, or you can have hexagons, can be tessellations. And so Escher kind of what he did is he studied like early applications of that in Spain at the Alhambra,
the architecture, the Islamic interiors.
Yeah, he studied that, and he brought animal forms to that, so that, like the birds and fish. So that was his kind of contribution to. And I mean, I love that about Escher. He's
it's something funny about MC Escher. He's kind of derided in the art world as like, he's too popular. It's too kitschy. But when you see MC Escher prints that he did in person, they're some of the most exquisite prints you will ever see. The craft is top notch, obviously, and that when you see him reproduced in a book, sometimes there's like, oh, it's kind of kitschy. But in person, the Herbert Palmer Gallery, no longer open, but out in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills area, way back in the day, represented the MC Escher estate in the United States.
Cool.
And I saw a couple shows of MC Escher, and I walked in there going, I'm in the art world, and this is just that kitschy stuff.
Oh,
and all of a sudden, it was like, no, this guy is like a legit artist.
Oh, yeah. You could really feel the resonance, and the fact that a lot of those were actually woodcut, prints from woodcuts. So that level of craftsmanship is awesome, that he could carve so much, detail to create those patterns and actually do woodblock prints.
So tell me, is this a zoomorphic tessellation here?
Well, this is a little bit different now. So this is from 1994, and this is, I still kind of, affectionately think of this as a vintage digital print. But it's from 1994, and this is called X Hour, and it's just kind of a, I used to call it, it's a good drinking picture, and it's a, it's a photograph of someone kind of like ruminating, after a hard day,
sitting at the bar,
having a drink, having a smoke, and then, but the specter of mortality is always floating.
Always there.
Yeah,
and
so that's kind of,
and you can tell it's from the 90s because you can't smoke at the bars anymore.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And this was in 1994.
Yes.
So you're making the digital images, and then you're selling. Now they call them giclées. Sometimes they call them pigment prints when they don't want to admit it's a giclée got a bad name. Were you in on that rap?
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah, because I made a living as a printmaker, fine art printmaker for a long time in New York, and I was all involved with that whole sort of evolution of inkjet prints, and giclées are kind of a higher end way of talking about the inkjet. And pigment, you might think, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But actually, pigments have a really good name in that industry because pigments were the inks that were permanent. Similar to oils as pigments, they thought of, the early
So there's
oils.
something in the chemical composition that just doesn't degrade under heavy use of light?
Exactly.
Now, you've been making these prints now for as long as anybody's been making them. Have you noticed is there a decomposition beginning?
Not on the ones that are done with the right materials, the right paper, acid-free.
Acid-free paper. What's the right ink to use?
Well, actually Epson, which is ubiquitous, for everybody, but Epson makes great fine art, high-end, pigment-based inks.
So let me ask you something about digital printing.
Yes.
I found out that Costco does digital printing, and they do it pretty good. Did you know that?
I've sort of heard about that.
There's photographers now who are using Costco, and if they need to color correct it, they don't care because it's like $7 a print. So they just go back and color print it, and instead of paying the high end, and it's as good as the high end. I mean, is this what it's come to?
It depends on the artist that's doing that. If they're, I don't know about, does Costco print on the high end?
What I'm saying, but there is good quality, like the best quality digital print one can get has certainly come down in price and availability since you began.
Yeah, I mean, it's much more accessible. Yeah, I would say that.
It's, I mean, everybody does it now, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's accepted.
Yeah.
What is the most successful digital print that you've ever been involved with, commercially speaking? Not as an artistic achievement, but just, we're talking money. Which one sold the best?
You mean my own, or just something that I printed from an artist that was selling?
Both.
Both? Well, I've, to be honest, I've sold, speaking of myself at first, I've sold a few prints here and there, but nothing really like high priced. But you never know; it could still happen. Then I've worked on a lot of prints by artists. They're not maybe household words, but they were within the industry. Photographers that are pretty well known. When I was working in New York,
big name artists.
Yeah, like
big name.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what print shop you're working out of. You know, like we didn't really do Rauschenberg's like a Gemini gel, but Stefan Shore came through the shop. And,
oh, wow.
For example.
Yeah,
you know,
okay, cool.
There was,
okay, so you've been working at the high end.
A little bit. I had my my time in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, the art world, you know, dive in, get out of the pool, dry off, dive back in, right?
Oh, exactly. You need breaks, yeah.
So,
exactly.
Well, hey, Victor Acevedo. Oh, we got a video of yours to play.
I was good. Thanks
Let's
for
see
mentioning
the video.
that.
Oh, God, I'm glad. Yeah.
I would. Thanks, Abel.
You actually produced this video. When did you produce this video?
Well, this is very recent. This is just this year. And
okay, let's roll it.
Okay, thank you.
Brand new stuff.
Yeah. And is there audio?
You did not take a tab of acid. I did not slip you anything. That was work by Victor Acevedo. Victor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
man.
it was a blast
Appreciate
having
it.
you on Modern Art Blitz, and we'll be back right after this.